Grandpa bought the farm in 1911. It was already making cheddar, as were nearly 400 other cheesemakers in Somerset. So the cheddar we make, I suppose partly by default, it reflects the fact that we've been doing it for 3 generations. I say by default because I don't really know, I'm not qualified to know exactly what the cheddar was like that my grandfather made. We make the cheddar from the milk of about 200 ostensibly Frisians. When I was a child, they were all Ayrshires, probably not as many as that, but was pure Ayrshire. And then my mum and dad bred Frisian into those Ayrshires, so there was always a little bit of Ayrshire in them. The Frisian gave us a bit more milk, but it wasn't just about getting more milk, it gave us access to a wider gene pool. And now over the last 3 years, I've been wanting to get some of our breeding back to Ayrshire. Mainly because I don't really know what it is about here that has given Montgomery's cheddar the cachet that it's got. And because you don't know what it is, it makes it more important to leave every single aspect that you think could possibly be it alone. It's a delicious fear, not knowing what it is. And that's within the fabric of the number of different starters we use, and so I understand absolutely the different family flavours that we get from the different starters as well. And yet there is something that runs through all of them as a Montgomery thing. In our team then, going towards making the cheese, we start with the milk, and we have a couple of guys who look after the cows. Graham's been milking cows for 30 years, I reckon, and Cameron, his assistant, incidentally is the son of our head cheesemaker. But it's quite an interesting dynamic having the son producing the milk for the father. So in the cheese side, there's Steve, who is father of Cameron. His father made cheese before him, Steve's been making cheese all his life. I suppose there's some Timothy in it out there, and a bit of Yorkshire fog. There's always plenty. That's some Coxfoot. It just hasn't seeded yet. Nice big clumps of Coxfoot. You're always looking for the changes in the material from one field to another, and quite often you really notice that just in the smell of the grass as it falls out of the trailer, and there is something really, really pleasant about the fields, because we do have some arable grass, and that is really dull. And then you get something like this come in, and you go, now that's more like it, and you get some aromatics off the grass in the milk. So then we're into cheese making. Put the starter in, stir until it's got going. As soon as it's started to set, cut. Cheddar we cut very small and scald it then to try and drive out a bit more moisture. Once the grains have lost as much moisture as we feel is necessary under the whey, pitch, which is running the curds and whey down into the cooler, and then run off the whey, which is letting all the whey go out to the curds. Once you've got rid of all the whey, you might need to what we call dry stirring, which is just sort of shifting the curds just before they knit to try and release any free moisture. But once you've got all the free moisture out, then you let it all coalesce, and cut the piles of coalescing curd into chunks ready for cheddaring. Once you've got the cheddaring stacking of the curds that we call cheddaring, to produce you the texture, the linear nature of the curds, and the acidity is where you want it, the moisture is where you want it. It's sort of like a recipe, or you can do it all sorts of different ways, but as long as it all comes together just exactly so at that particular point, you're fine. And then it's ready to go away. We shred the curds through the mill so that we can mix the salt into it, mix exactly the right amount of salt in, mix the salt really well, put it into the forms, and then put it into the press overnight. And the old peg mill, it just shreds it. It's pegs going through a comb, and I think there is, because you finish up with all sorts of different shapes and sizes, some of the cheesemakers I know go, oh my god, how can you possibly think that's better, because it's all different shapes and sizes. It's your salt distribution is going to be difficult, everything from then on is going to be difficult, and your cutting is going to be a disaster. Yes, our cutting is going to be a disaster, if you are pre-packing. But let's not pre-pack. Let's sell as much cut in front of the customer as we possibly can. Let's have it so it's different from everybody else's cheddar. And more original.